We are live here on Friday night, and sometimes the breaking news comes in on Fridays. I can tell you I'm holding a Washington Post report out tonight that we're discussing for the first time on air here on MSNBC, that the White House and Mitch McConnell are planning a final urgent blitz to pressure reluctant Republican senators back into passing their repeal and replace bill. The new idea, the new strategy, according to the Post tonight, is a deadline before the August recess. And key players in the strategy, according to this new report in the Post, are Mike Pence and Ted Cruz. Mitch McConnell allegedly relying on them to shake up and try to get a consensus among Republicans. The idea is that Cruz can be a conservative firebrand and bring it all home. Congress returns on Monday. That means, according to this report, there would be just 14 days to pass Trump care before this new self-imposed deadline before the August recess. I should note the obvious that you may know, even if you are watching politics here on a Friday night, and we welcome it, not everyone else is as focused on this in August. I'm going to talk to my panel in a second about why that might be part of the strategy. Meanwhile, senators openly questioning what's in the Senate bill. Senator Jerry Moran at a listening tour in Kansas.
We don't want to just go through the motions of some kind of legislation that we say is going to solve the problem when I'm not, and others are not yet convinced that what path we're on is actually going to make a difference in the cost to you, your family, and your businesses.
Now, why would a Republican from that deep red state be potentially wobbling on the bill? Here's some of what Senator Moran is hearing.
Americans don't work hard all their lives to have an American dream and get somewhere. Just to say, oh, okay, yeah, you can have all my taxpayer money, and I'm going to go over here and curl up and die because you don't think I deserve health care.
Joining me now is Indira Lakshmanan, Washington columnist for the Boston Globe, and the chair in journalism ethics at the Poynter Institute, and also Joan Walsh, national affairs correspondent for The Nation and an MSNBC analyst. Joan, Andy Card used to say, you don't roll out a big product in August, or at least not a product you're excited about.
Not something you really want to sell. You want to wait until the fall when you're excited about something, Ari. I remember that too. No, this is crazy. And also the idea of Ted Cruz as pitchman. I mean, I know he's doing some weird ideological shape-shifting by suggesting that maybe they cut, or not cut, but like actually leave the taxes, some of the taxes in place, and he's trying to act like the firefighter on the scene, but he's widely despised by his colleagues. I mean, Al Franken, joked that.
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
I know. People hate him more than I do, and I hate him. So this is a very, very weird situation. And also, people like Jerry Moran are home and hearing about why people are afraid of what they're trying to do. So I have no idea what they're doing. They should have talked to Andy Card.
Well, and it has a patina of panic. But it may be a reflection that they think in the light of day, in the fall, in an open season, the bill has no shot. So maybe August is the only shot. Now, Indira, I'm going to put it to you straight here. I ain't that old, but I'm old enough to remember when if you got a bad CBO score on a piece of national policy legislation, the response was to reform the underlying legislation to get a better CBO score. I mean, people in both parties said, okay, we care about the numbers. If the thing is too expensive or has too many negative consequences, we'll fix it and go back to the CBO. Instead, let me read to you, I guess what we might call the new school Trumpian response to a CBO score. Quote, the goal will now be to counter the nonpartisan CBO analysis of the legislation, which shows 22 million fewer people would have insurance coverage, and to counter it, to show from conservative groups and other Republicans who say there are more benefits and less disruption should the bill pass. Translation, they don't want to fix anything that the CBO found. They want to point to alternative sources that make the bill look ostensibly better.
Well, alternative sources sounds an awful lot like alternative facts, Ari. And the problem here is that, as you say, in the past, the idea was to fight fire with fire. If the facts were that the CBO said this doesn't work, then you tried to find a way to fix it and make it work. This Trump administration and also the Republican leadership in the Senate don't seem to want to try to fix it. They want to counter it and say, no, that's fake news. That's not true. Let's just counter it with our own information. But what you said I thought was really interesting. interesting that there was a tinge of panic or a patina of panic in the air, and they have every good reason to be panicked. And why? An analysis that just came out of MIT, and these are people who actually understand math, unlike most people in America, and I, would say that that includes most of us. They analyzed all the polls of, looking at attention to, legislation over the last 30 years. This is the least popular piece of legislation in 30 years.
Wow.
Last month it was polling at 12%.
I mean, wow, because it's not like every other piece of legislation that an unpopular Congress has ever talked about is also beloved. So that's really saying something.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.